Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith, I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the United Kingdom, and today I'm working with the lovely Potted Geraniums stamp set and bringing you this lovely double pillar fold flat card. There's a few variations around. This is my version, yeah, I haven't sort of followed any particular person's tutorial. I would tell you if I had, but I just thought it was a perfect way to showcase these beautiful geraniums and to kind of create a bit of a 3D scene. On the back you can see the lovely stamped ones as well, and then this folds flat. So I've tried to make it as big as possible because I think sometimes our small cards can look a little bit small. But you fold flat by popping the sides in, and you'll see I've put some extra strips of DSP in, and then it will fit into one of our standard envelopes, just like so. So it is a bit thicker, so it might have to go through as a large letter in the UK because it's that little bit thicker, but you can see it does fold flat. And I've used some gorgeous new DSP that we've got. Now this is a special because this is host DSP. So you can buy this for your Stampin' Rewards. So if you and your friends get together, or you on your own spend £150, you then get rewards, which is about 10%, and it goes up if you spend more than that. And then you can spend it on special items that can only be bought with Stampin' Rewards. They're host items, and this is a pack of 48 sheets of DSP, and you get 4 each of the 12 designs, and you can see here you've got florals and neutrals. So that's the one I've used. You've got these lovely kind of beautiful patterns, deep rich colours, and more subtle ones. So yeah, guess which one I'm going to be using next. Almost rainbow brights, bikes, if you like bikes, perfect. Sort of tiles, you know, modern prints, overall background prints, some kites there, flowers, and obviously these, you know, can be coordinated with a lot of the stamp sets. We've got some lovely leaves there. Again, it's another tessellated pattern, some more sort of background leaves, striped, and this lovely bird one as well, and almost like a trefoil on the back there. So you know, it is you know, it is a special, but I think, you know, if you're getting together with friends for a party, or if you just sort of, if you've got 2 or 3 people, you know, say, look, why don't we all spend, you know, if you all spend £50, that pack of paper will divide up between you and give you loads to work with. So if you haven't, you know, if you can't do that, then what you could also use are our colour family DSPs. So on this, obviously, we've got Old Olive, and in the patterns, I'm going to show you what patterns we've got. Now, I haven't, all of our DSP, you can get 6x6 packs of the colour families. So these are the in colours. I haven't, because I've still got paper left over in the colour families, and the colours haven't changed, just the patterns. So you've got florals on one side and stripes. You've then got dots and a check. Now obviously that check, if you had the Subtles pack, you could have that in Pear Pizzazz. If you had the Regals pack, you could have it in Old Olive. So those are the patterns that that are available. So that's another option for you. But as I say, fold flat, pops up to make a real kind of almost like a home decor piece as well. So there we go. So, right, let's get started then. Obviously, we're going to do a bit of stamping to start off with. Oh, should have said, it comes with dies. So, it comes with 2 lots of dies. You have dies that cut out the stamped images, so the lovely leaves. You also have dies that create flowers without any stamping. So you can cut out the leaves and a background piece, and then you have some detailed dies to do that. So there are kind of 2 options with this. I'm doing the stamping option, and I just love the detail that you get with that, and think it's great to work with. They are photopolymer because they're 2-step stamping, so grab your piercing mat, gives you a much better image. I will stamp and die cut sort of one of each of the ones we need, because I'll show you how I do it, and but I will also show you I also have done some of them in advance as well, because obviously, you know, I'm doing it twice over, and it just saves me having to speed it up on the video. So I'm going to go for the subtle colour for these, because I want to use that really pretty pink, petal pink paper that we've got there. So it's that one there. So I'm going to work with the more subtle. So I'm going to work with Pear Pizzazz for the leaves. I'm still going to use my Cajun Craze for those terracotta pots, because we haven't got a better colour than that for that. And then for the flowers, I'm going to use Calypso Coral and Petal Pink to create those flowers. So let's start off with the leaves. I found it for me easier to work with the detailed stamp first. So ink it up well, stamp down, and then using your infill stamp and stamp off once, and then you'll find that lines up just over the top there. So just rotate it until you can see the leaves, detail and stamp down, and there we have our lovely leaves. I'm going to stamp one of the little plant. Didn't use it on my original one, but may well use it on this one. It's kind of got a wood texture, so maybe it's designed to use with a brown, but the stamp set includes some lovely little sentiments that fit just inside that label. So you've got the smile friend just for you. Just for you is it's actually the one I've used straight away. But this is a lovely one if you want to do a sympathy card, or just a general sort of, you know, supportive card, reaching out with friendship and caring, here for you every step of the way. You know, very useful sentiments to have. So I'm going to pop my old olive out of the way before I get in an inky mess. Those of you who follow me will know that that's easy for me to do. So next I'm going to do my plant pot. So again, I'm going to come in with the, I'm just using my scraps of paper here. I'm going to come in with the detailed one first and then stamp off for the second one. So detailed stamp, that lovely pot, and then ink it up, stamp off, and then again just hover over the top until you're lined up. Hopefully you can see that, and then stamp down to get your pot. And then for the flowers, as I said, I'm going to use my Calypso Coral and my Petal Pink. You could use stamped off Calypso Coral as well if you wanted to, if you haven't got the two shades. They're kind of really complementary colours. So the detailed one is in my darker Calypso Coral. So again, I'm coming up with the detailed stamp and just stamping down to get that one, and then ink up with my Petal Pink, and I'm just hovering, and what I do is I just kind of hover until I usually pick two diagonal spots, so kind of one over here and one over here, line those up, and I find that usually gives me a good lined up image. Other stamping I want to do, I've already die cut a label. It comes with this beautiful label in there, and that's perfect for the sentiment. Lovely sentiment. Birthdays are reminders that life should be celebrated. I'm just going to put that off to the right hand side, because I'm going to trim that little edge, so it gives me a little bit of a better area here to trim it off with. When I had it, it's actually one I miscut it, and I actually kind of quite like it with that. So you're going to want to stamp two of the leaves. You're going to want to stamp 3 or 4 of the flowers, and you're going to want to stamp 2 of the plant pots, and then we're going to do some die cutting. So it won't surprise you that, so this is my plate, and all I'm going to do is just line these up, and that was one just hitting the floor. Okay. So when you pop these on, pop them down flat and just line up the images. I usually use the stalk as a good one, anything with a stalk, and make sure I can see my images, and so I haven't got any white showing around those. sometimes you need to take the post-it note tape off just to make sure. And this flower, there's usually a spot you can sort of see everything. There we go. Obviously I now need to find my tag, and then I'm going to pop that through my die cutting machine. Okay, so now I've die cut those. There we go. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut another one of those outlines just in plain white, because I'm going to use that just to support the one of those die cuts for the front. Okay, so we've got two of those. I've got a second pot, got those, and I've got my flowers. Okay, so those spare ones that I've got now, I've shown you this before, I am sure, are just going to pop into, I have a little CD packet which I pop in there, and you can see with my flowers, with the die cuts, I mentioned the detailed ones, I've already got some card, just got some double-sided adhesive on it, and that's one of the flowers on the die cut, just to contrast there. Okay. So now we've done all our stamping for the back of the die cut, I want to stamp my piece for the back. So I've just taken a piece that, and this piece is 9.5 by 14 centimetres. So that's the first thing you need to sort of do some cutting of. So I've also already cut my DSP here, and I'll talk you through that in a moment. So I'm going to want to do my plant pot first, because it sort of builds up from there really. So again, same as before, detailed plant pot. I'm then going to do the infill, so stamped off again, like so. I'm actually going to use this little bit here, which is kind of like the ground. I'm going to do that in two places. I'm going to stamp it off and use it to kind of create a shadow for the bottom of the pot. And I'm going to stamp it off and just add it as the soil at the top of the pot as well. I'm going to grab put my terracotta away. Again, same as before. I'm just going to add my full strength Pear Pizzazz for the outline, and then the detail, the infill stamp on top of that. Didn't do quite such a good job with that one, never mind. And then my Calypso Coral. Probably should have done this when I was doing the others. And I'm just lining those up with the top of those two kind of little, these two little bits here, because those are kind of like where the flowers haven't yet opened. I did look at various pictures. I mean, it doesn't matter too much, but I did look at various pictures of geraniums just to make sure that I was getting it kind of vaguely right. And then you're just going to come in and stamp your flowers over the top there. Right. Okay, so that's our piece for the back of our card, which we're going to pop to one side. And let's get on with actually creating our main piece. So for this, what you're going to do is you're actually going to cut and score one large piece of card to start off with, and then you're going to cut the piece off for the front. You'll know from my, I do my samples in scrap. This is actually a narrow one I did, and I adjusted it to make it wider. This is, so you've got two sections. So you've got a back section and a front section. They just stack on top of each other. So the card that you want is 21 by 19.5. I have worked this out in UK inches for UK cardstock, and I've also worked it out in US cardstock as well. So 21 by 19.5. So this is 21 centimetres already. So I'm just we're going to cut our cardstock at 19.5 centimetres. And it's already 21 centimetres across. Then on the long edge, you're going to score at 1, at 2.5 on the right hand side. Flip it around. You're going to score at 4, 5.5, then at 15.5, at 17 centimetres, at 18.5, and at 20. Like so. So apart from the first one, these are 1.5 centimetres. I'll need my trimmer again in a moment, but what I'm going to do is actually reinforce these score lines, burnish them. Just run your bone folder over and just make sure they are you have scored nice and square. Like so. And once you've done that, at this long edge, you're just going to cut 5 centimetres. So this means that obviously all of our score lines are exactly the same. Okay, so that's going to be there, and that's our front. Okay, so now to actually create our pillars, we're going to add some adhesive to the edge here. Now generally I tend to use Tombow for this. It gives you that little bit of wiggle room. A little bit of movement. If you use tear and tape, whilst tear and tape is really strong, whilst Stampin' Seal Plus is really strong, you do run the danger of it grabbing before you're ready. So what you're going to do is not the first but the second score line, fold it over and then fold it in. And you really want to just hold that and put that and burnish that in place. So again, not the first, but the second score line. And you're going to fold that in. Like so. And then that is going to pop up to create our pillars. Do the same on the bottom one, bottom section. There we go. Oh, actually before you do that, just snip a tiny little wedge off that outer one. It just should have done the others. It means if anything's slightly out of alignment, it doesn't matter too much. So just add your adhesive to that outer narrow tab and then fold in again. You could use a red liner tape for this, or you could use tear and tape. I generally prefer to use something a bit stronger because when it's folded down and it comes back up, it's going to sort of move slightly. So you want something that's going to be resistant. So there you go. You've got two little box sections, and then you're now going to add your DSP. So the DSP for the centre of this. By the looks of it, do I cut that a little bit long? No, I'm fine. So the centre DSP is going to be 6.5 by 14.5 centimetres. If you cut it to 14, that's fine. It just means you have a gap top and bottom. Up to you entirely. And then you want 4 strips that are 14.5 just by 1 centimetre to go on the sides there. and then you're going to add those. And then the strip for the front here is 10 centimetres by 4.5 centimetres. So we can add those on while it's flat. And again, having a little bit of Tombow on there gives us a little bit of wiggle room as well, which helps with lining it up. And again, particularly with this one on the middle, you wouldn't want to put your DSP in until you'd actually constructed it, unless you wanted to put a wider piece in and not have a border, which obviously is an option. So I'm just lining that up in the centre. And if it overhangs slightly, then just, come in with your scissors and just trim that from the back. So now, luckily, because I've left a smutty ink mark on that, I'm just going to, I'm using Tombow again on this. And if you've done as I've done, which is actually get a little bit of Tombow on the side, then two things: either use a glue eraser to take that off once it's dry, or if it's a tiny little bit, then you can just come in with a bit of embossing powder. If you've got an embossing buddy, a bit of talc, to get rid of that tackiness. These ones probably would have been easier to do before I constructed it. I just thought it was nice to have that extra kind of bit of trellis down the side there. And the only thing to be careful of is when you're doing that, is that your at the front side piece is glued and it doesn't move. I have had that happen before, where I've put it down and thought great, and I've looked and I've actually moved it slightly. There you go. And just pop that. There we go. So, as you can see, it's starting to come together really well there. So I'm just going to make sure that that's lining up okay, which it is. So now what we want to do is actually create our plant pots. Right, so we're going to fold those in and we'll adhere those in a minute, but let's create our 3D pots. So I'm just curling those slightly using a bone folder, make them look a little bit more 3D. And I'm going to take one of these leaf stems and I'm just going to cut it apart. I think that's where I cut them. I better look at my original. Yep. I just came in and just trim those. I just didn't want them to be quite so tall. And I'm going to just stick one sort of a little bit behind and a little bit in front, and I'm going to put that, glue that in place using a dimensional right in the middle there. Okay. Now, if you wanted to use more, just keep them to the centre, because that way I'm just using some half dimensionals here, because that'll allows that pot still to curl around. And put one in the middle at the bottom, and then we're going to use a similar technique with my flowers. So I'm actually going to, rather than have that, because I need something to glue it to, I'm going to tuck my flowers in like so. So again, flip those over, and you see, so it's one obviously I'd misstamped earlier. Now this one actually pokes up above the top, so on this one I actually need to use some adhesive. So I'm going to put it on the top there, and this is the one where I felt I might want to put a blank one on the back. So I'm going to pop, I'm actually going to add a little adhesive to the top of that as well, like so. That way it's going to it gives it a bit more support on the back, and that's where I'm going to pop my blank one now, just to cover that up. And what that does is, by sandwiching that kind of those pieces in between the two, it means it's not going to come adrift. Like so. Not that anyone's going to see the back of that, but it just means it won't be quite as fragile. So let's do our other pot. Same technique. So I'm going to pop that stem. I'm going to kind of put the leaves over the front and pop the stem in place with a couple of dimensionals. And then add my flowers. I'm actually going to add those directly over the top. So I'm just going to add a bit of adhesive to the top of those leaves. And that makes a kind of shorter flower. So you can see here we've kind of got adding sort of two heights to our card, and then we're going to add our third one in here. So this is one where I'm going to just grab some quick grab glue, and it's just on the outside edge there. And all I'm doing is just looking at where that front piece is and making sure that my stems come down here. That's why I'm using a quick grab glue, because I want that to glue well and dry nice. And that's the first bit I'm actually going to put on. Now, looking at it now, I think actually that label would work, having just that first section glued. But obviously I haven't wasted that miscut label. And I'm just going to line that up with the top edge like so. And then for my flowers, I'm going to come in and again attach those just over the top there on that front edge. So it's just that little left hand edge. So I'm just, I'm not measuring. What I am doing is just popping it there. And if you wanted to, you could actually put a second one in there, which I think I might do. Do you know what? Let's give it a go. I'm going to add a touch of glue just there. So now while those are drying, what we can do is take our backs of our plant pots. I'm actually going to attach this before I do it. So the way we attach this, it's to make sure it's lined up, you're pushing the sides in, so you've got that double layer, and the same here, and the glue is going on that piece at the front here. So again, this is one where I think wet glue works best for me because of that bit of, as I say, wiggle room. So I'm coming in and I'm going to line up that outside edge and the bottom. And so this is the trickiest bit. So there you go. And just give that a really good squeeze. And now, while that is drying, we can pop our first set of plant pots. And our second one. We'll go just there. And there we have, that would even pop in there actually. How about that? there's a pair. So it's a double pillar pop-up card, and as I've shown you before, you can squash it down flat to go into that envelope, and then it pops up to create a really fun display card, as you can see there. So, are you team subtles or team or the brighter colours? I think I probably prefer this one, but you know what? I think this is also lovely, and I know lots of people who would love it as well. If you'd like to purchase the potted geraniums bundle or the stamp set on its own, then just pop along to my shop at flutterbyheidi.co.uk, follow the links, or click on the description box below this video and you'll find links to each of the products that I've used here. And yeah, come back and see me again soon. Oh, I'd forgotten, I didn't put the panel on the back. That panel is going to go onto the back there as well. I will do that in a moment. But thanks for watching. Don't forget, please hit the subscribe button. Give me a like, give me a comment. I do respond to comments, so if you've got a question, then let me know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.